Hey everybody, welcome to my weekly video. So one thing, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, I do. When I'm doing reels, does anyone else get really frustrated because they can't pause the video where they want to put the words? You just kind of have to wait for it to come back around. Anybody? No? Uh-oh, might just be me. If anybody else has this experience, my email is below. I'm having a lot of issues. I think maybe because, I am a millennial, but I guess I'm just not very good at this. Okay, anyway, hi guys. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Today we're going to talk about 4 things that everyone should know about sport-specific training. So I'm going to list those 4 really quickly, and then we're going to go a little bit more in depth about each individual topic before we finish, and hopefully you'll learn a little something. All right, so the 4 things are: 1, you should not be doing the same exact movement patterns and planes of movement you do in your sport during your training. 2, do not constantly max out when you're weightlifting. 3, if your coach or trainer doesn't know how to do a thorough research, deep dive, and analysis of both you and your sport, you need to go to someone else. And 4, rest and sleep are just as important as the work that you put in during training. All right, so let's touch on the first topic, first point. So, you should not be doing the same exact movement patterns and planes of movement that you do in your sport. Movement patterns and planes of movement, for example, are, let's talk about golf, right? So during the entire game of golf, you're doing the exact same movement in the exact same movement pattern on the same side of your body. Literally the entire time, for hours and hours, for days and days, for months and years. You're using the same joints, the same muscles, the same everything. Now, common injuries in this sport include wrists, lower back, and elbows. And what are these injuries from? They're from lack of proper conditioning, overuse, and lack of technical information and improper swing mechanics. So these are obviously for the sport of golf. If you're a golfer, cool, you got an example. If not, similar analysis should be done for all the sports of the athletes that you are training. Basketball is a little bit different. Soccer is a little bit different. Different injuries, different common injuries based on the planes of movement, the kind of activity it is, if it's a contact sport, if it's not, etc. I'm using golf today as an example. My wife is a golfer. I guess I'm getting in the mindset. I'm trying to learn. I don't know. I guess it's like almost the season for golf. I'm brainwashed, basically. Okay, so a research article I found, which I'll include obviously at the end of this video with my sources, literally says about golf, and I quote, "Playing golf is generally considered a low-risk, injury-free sport in terms of movements. However, the lack of proper technical guidance and the addiction to golf results in overly spending too much time in the sport, doing too much of the exact same movement all of the time. And this often leads to muscle and joint problems, which are where the common injuries come in. So proper sport-specific training will address the imbalances, strengthen both sides of your body equally, train the muscles and joints that are both being used mainly for the sport, but also the muscles that are assisting the main muscles and joints that are being used for the sport. There needs to be balance. The more planes of movement that you do in your training, the healthier your body will be, the stronger those small muscles will be, the less injuries you'll sustain, and the better your sport will become and the better you'll get at your sport. Now, for example, you can train power, meaning that hip drive, right, that you see in the downswing of a golf swing, right? When you're driving your hips forward, you're fully extending your hips, you're using your glutes, or the explosive nature of a sprint, right? Same thing. Power and speed are synonymous with each other. You train them the exact same way. Or the hip drive in an Olympic lift. That is power. That also translates over to speed, like I just said. The jumping in a jump shot in basketball. Now, these are all a little bit different planes of movement, but there are countless, endless exercises for power, for hip drive, for these movements, for example, that you can include in your programming, and you will get the same results, okay? So you can train these things in different planes of movement and get the same results. You don't need to do the same exact movement constantly all the time. If you see that happening, if you're doing the same exact movements in training, you need to go somewhere else or talk to someone about what to do to keep your body healthy and to really improve in your sport the right way. 2, do not consistently max out while you're weightlifting. So let's talk about resistance training and rep maximums for a second. So one of the most important aspects of resistance training when it comes to load is the design of the program around the resistance used for your exercise to meet your goals. So to become more muscularly fit, gains are influenced by the amount of weight lifted, as well as exercise order, training intensity, training volume, the speed of your reps, the amount of reps that you do, and the length of rest time that's included in between your sets. Consistent training at really high intensities increases the risk of overuse injuries. A 1 rep max or a 5 rep max or a 10 rep max, they're all used in different situations. We can talk about that in another video. Are all used to determine the load that will be used in your program to succeed and to meet your goals, to improve in your sport. So if you're doing muscular endurance, for example, you will be doing a percentage of your 1 rep maximum, okay? You will never be doing your 1 rep maximum 4 reps. If you are, this is not good, and you should talk to an exercise professional. So we can talk a little bit more in detail about all these things in another video, but it is really, really important to not max out all the time. This increases overtraining. You can get super, super hurt. And also balancing high intensity training days with lower intensity training days with less rest, making sure you get more rest on the high intensity training days is a balance and is needed in programming. But then again, that's also for another video. 3, if your coach or trainer does not do a thorough deep dive into the analysis of you and your sport, you need to go somewhere else. Whether you're working with a trainer or a coach, 1, they should have the correct certifications, education, and experience that can be trusted. For example, a Master of Science in Exercise Science or related field, a bachelor's in exercise science or a related field, an American College of Sports Medicine or National Strength and Conditioning Association certification. Each are different to make sure that they have a certification in the area of training you're looking for. So if it's training sports, someone with chronic diseases, a healthy individual, etc. And the more experience, the better. If your trainer or coach doesn't do a full analysis of your past injuries, your past experience with resistance training and aerobic training, an analysis of the way your body moves, you need to go somewhere else. If they don't do a full analysis of your sport, of the common injuries sustained in the sport, why these injuries happen, what energy systems are used, what muscles and joints are used in the sport, so that they know exactly what they need to do to advance you in your sport, also go somewhere else. 4, rest and sleep are just as important as the work that you put in training. As I said above, high intensity training all the time will put you at higher risk for overtraining and overuse injuries. Now, periodization is a really important thing to a concept of programming that is really important to use when you're training athletes. This concept of programming varies when it comes to, it varies. So over time, it limits training plateaus, maximizes gains, and reduces chances of overtraining. So a balance is needed. If you train hard, you need days that are lower intensity. If you have hard training days, you need rest to recover. Rest, sleep, and recovery are just as important as training hard. Your body has to recover from training, or it won't adapt and you will overtrain and hurt yourself. And overtraining is when you're trying to you're training too hard and your body cannot adapt quick enough. So then you can see decrease in gains, you can see really bad fatigue, and you can really, really hurt yourself. So to conclude, you should not be doing the same exercise, the same movement patterns and planes of movement you do in your sport, in your training. Do not constantly max out when weightlifting. If your coach or trainer does not do a thorough deep dive research analysis into your sport and you, go to somebody else. And rest and sleep are just as important as all of the hard work that you put in during your training sessions. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Also, if you have any comments or questions, my information is below. And have a good day, guys. Bye.